Hi, I'm Tamara Thomas,
And I'm Jackie Shrigley.
and this is Urban Health Weekly, where us women of a certain age slash nerds talk about medical health and medical research and everything that's going on in the news medicine wise.
Medical nerds. That's right.
So, I told you that I had Hocket this week, right?
Tell me about that. I'm really interested in hearing about that.
You didn't have to. You didn't have to say it like that. I'll tell you about it. Fake. So anyway, I don't know if I told you this, but I've been having terrible back pain, like on one side of my back. I couldn't do anything about it, no matter how much I rubbed it, no matter how much I put, analgesics. It just persisted, and it was affecting. I couldn't exercise. It was affecting my ability to do housework,
Wow.
and sitting didn't bring me any relief. Well, if I sat on the couch, but I can't sit on the couch and work because then I'd start watching TV. In any event, so I was miserable. I was really miserable, and I was like, "What if I try Hocket again?" Because I was doing Hocket last year.
I have made that connection. Back pain and Hocket. I wouldn't have
Well,
thought.
because when I was doing the Hocket last year, the reason I thought about it is because I was doing the Hocket last year, and I was doing it to protect myself from after the COVID and build myself back up. And one thing that I noticed after the Hocket was my knee was feeling fantastic. And so,
Really?
yeah, at first it was just a minor annoyance. Like I got up and it was, but then it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And so I just didn't know what else to do. I stopped sitting in the kneeling chair. So between the Hocket and that, I feel like I feel good. Like I'm
And
happy.
I want to try this Hocket out. I'm really
You
interested.
have to, you have to try it.
I do.
I like I can't describe how it's like a fog has lifted off of me.
That's really good.
I was like really walking around in this painful haze. Like I don't even know if you noticed last time when I sat in a different place because I was trying to sit in a different chair.
Okay.
I was having the lighting issues and so forth.
Yeah. Oh, so part of it was also pain.
Trying to sitting in different. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I was in pain then, and I was just like, I got, what can I do? Because I was about to break down because I talked to my doctor about it, and he's like, well, we have pain management, but now I can bend down and pick stuff up. I'm much more careful.
And you're not conscious about it.
I'm not. I'm not. Well, I am conscious about it because I've been in pain so long that I'm like
that you're really hyper trained now.
Right. But there's no pain. Like even when I was doing it a particular way, there was still pain. Now there's no pain. So
that's great news.
Yeah, I'm like over the moon because I wasn't sure it was gonna work because I was in such pain for so long. But anyway, Hocket. I just had to tell you.
Local. There's local Hocket. Not by me, not local. I'd have to drive a little.
There's no one really in your ritzy area. There's no one that provides Hocket.
I don't know. Doesn't look that way. Not nearby.
Have you looked for it?
It looks like I have to go up into the northern part of New Jersey, up into Bergen County is where.
Oh, wow. All the way out there.
So a couple of counties away.
So you mean to tell me that no one in your neck of the woods has back pain or shoulder pain?
I'm sure they do. I do know there's like a hyperbaric around, but that's not the same, right?
No.
So
hyperbaric, I think, is oxygen. It's just pure oxygen.
It's
This is ozone and vibration and electro pulse, type stuff. That's what the PEMF is. So it's this you sit in this thing. It's like a little sauna thing. You've seen them, right?
Old school sauna, right? Where you would have that like thing and you
exactly. Wait, and you just from the
out.
And so what she does is she packs a towel around you to keep everything in, and then she puts the oxygen blowing right into my face. So it's like this little tube with the oxygen blowing into my face. And then inside, you're getting steam, you're getting ozone. So it's like, permeating, right. So
your pores.
Through your pores, exactly, instead of IV. And then you have this thing that's just pulsing up. You put your feet on these two pads.
Like infrared?
Yes, that's for the infrared. You put it on these two leads that are made for your feet, and you just feel the vibration coming up, and you just feel it shooting through you. And then when you touch your legs, You can
Oh,
feel.
oxygen, are you feeling less, you're not feeling claustrophobic when you're in there?
No, no. I
Okay.
mean, I don't suffer from claustrophobia,
Okay.
but no, I feel snug. I feel snug and I feel like it's
Cozy.
not restrictive. It's not like you're like
Okay.
this. You're sitting there, it's like you're sitting in a chair,
That's
but
nice.
you're enclosed. So the enclosure is not sitting on you. It's just this big dome
I see.
that's around you. It just surrounds you.
You feel cozy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do feel cozy because it's no one else in there with you. It's just your own personal little thing. And I fall asleep. She puts the soothing stuff on the TV and the sounds and all of that. And
How long are you there? Is it 30 minutes?
it's about 30, 35 minutes, because she has to bring you up, then she has to bring you back down. And then at the end, this vacuum sucks everything out of the room. And then you come out and you pat yourself down. I should really have should be going back this week, but I'm going back next week because again, I wanted to give myself time to see if it really did. And the first couple of days, I was like, meh, I don't really feel anything. And then by day 3, I was like, I can exercise again.
Wow, that's huge.
Day 4, I was like, I can bend over and pick this up. I'm not in horrible pain. So it's just like I just like marveling, like I can move
So
again.
freedom.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So that was really good. Anyway, so moving on. First of all, I want to say rest in peace to rapper Biz Markie, who died this week at the young age of 57 from diabetes complications. Let me tell you, people keep playing around and thinking diabetes is a minor. Diabetes is no joke. It's a killer. It can and will kill you. It will take your eyesight. It will take your limbs. It will take your endocrine system. It will gank you of every vitality. Don't play around with diabetes, please, people. Second thing I want to ask is if you're enjoying this, to subscribe and become part of our little community. You can use the subscribe button below, click in the link in the subscription, or click on the watermark to the bottom left of your screen. Thank you. All right, now on to topics for this week. What's going on this week? Biden endorses importing drugs from Canada and orders a bigger drug pricing plan by late August. So he has basically ordered his administration to advance several policies targeting high drug prices. This is something that Trump was hot under the collar about too. And they're right to do it. And importing drugs from Canada, which because of the high prices, people are forced to do. And I think there've been some issues with like some states clamping down on that because like they have bus rides to Canada where seniors can go and like.
Oh, yes. I've heard about that. Yes.
Do we like this? Yes or no? Why or why not?
Well, I like it as a consumer. I like it. And in the past, I've had where there were shortages, like I take a thyroid medicine and there was a shortage of the particular natural thyroid medicine I was taking. And so they just couldn't produce it. And I didn't want to take the synthetic version. So I ended up buying from Canada.
Did you order it from the mail or?
I ordered it through the website of the manufacturer. It was ERFA at the time, and it was a particular natural thyroid medicine, and I had to pay out of pocket. It was much cheaper, but insurance didn't cover it, and they just mailed it directly to me. So
really, and they didn't give you an issue about it at all?
No, because it was like a recognized prescription. It's not when it came. The doctor, yeah, I remember my pharmacy couldn't deliver the one medicine on time. So I just went online and got it right from Canada and it worked out for me.
Wow.
Yep.
That's fantastic. I mean, I've never had to order medication abroad before, but I can't imagine. Like, what did they call that guy, the Martin Shkreli guy, Pharma Bro, where he raised the price?
Oh, yeah, that guy's got zero ethics, man. Oh.
But he's not the only one. The people who
EpiPen,
they raised their price.
Went up to like $800, like
yes.
Some huge number. And you need more than one EpiPen when there's a crisis. You need 2. So that was a whole thing. Yeah.
So the problem when you do something like that now is they can do it because the insurance by law has to pay for it most of the time.
Okay.
And so that's what's created some of this like free for all with the pharmaceuticals, is that they know that the insurance is going to pay for it, and they've found a way to
So
increase
you're thinking it's the pharmaceutical and the drug manufacturer who it's the drug manufacturer. Oops, I messed that up. The drug manufacturer or the insurance company, who's more in it? They're in it together?
No, I'm not saying they're in it together. I'm saying because the insurance has to pay.
Oh yeah, then they can check then they can
say, oh, really, you have to pay for it? Well, then I don't want 80, I want 800 for it.
Right.
Because by law they have to pony up.
Right.
And so that's what's creating this situation. But you have some insurances who write their policy in such a way that they're only going to pay a small amount.
Yes.
And then you're on the hook for the rest of that money. And
yeah,
so
I experience that too. Do you
don't have 400 a month or 800 a month to buy prescription medication, and then you're stuck. And then what do you do? If you live close enough to Canada, then you can get on a bus and then you can go and get it cheap. If you know about that, though.
Right.
You know. I'm just imagining so many people. There was this really sad story about this young man who, because he couldn't afford his diabetes medication, he was cutting his dosages in half and taking it, bit by bit, because he couldn't afford the monthly, and he died.
Wow.
And this is the kind of things that happen to people when they can't afford their medication. And so to stop people from getting their medication, and I'm glad that he's done this. This should have been done a long time ago. If the United States is not going to be competitive in their pricing, then we should be free to go wherever we need to go and order it wherever we need to order it from. That's going to be cost effective.
Is that a tactical move, do you think, just to get like pharma in line, or make them, just to get pharma on board with lowering their prices?
I think it's a play. I think it's a play. I think it's a good play. It's like, you don't have this market cornered.
Correct.
People have options. So when you give people more options, they have to come back to the table and say, okay, now what?
It's not a monopoly anymore.
Right, exactly. What now what? What do we do? We thought we had this captive audience, and we don't anymore. So I hope that more people know about this, and I hope people take advantage of it, and and it levels the playing field a little and gets them to the table, because they keep making the excuse, well, research and development. Come on, some of these things are so old.
That's for years, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're always saying. Well, we have to recover our costs from research, and you developed this 10 years ago.
We're gonna
made one tweak,
and
you made one tweak, and then you got a new patent, and
yes.
that justified you
yes.
basically taking the same medication and
yes.
and changing the price. I probably shouldn't say this, but that's what they do. And it's just not right. World Health Organization's Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus had choice words for Pfizer and other vaccine manufacturers focused on selling COVID-19 vaccine booster shots to high-income countries, saying they should focus instead on providing their vaccines to nations that have had little access to first doses. His statement was, we're making conscious choices right now not to protect those in most need. What are your thoughts?
Well, I recognize that, the world needs to be vaccinated, and that, there's injustice in the sense that the poorer countries aren't getting the vaccines that they need. But it is, it's a business, and who's going to pay? Should the wealthier countries pay for the less wealthy countries? I mean, how are you going to do that? Are you going to force them to manufacture more? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the idea of it. Is that practical? I mean, is it doable?
Yeah, morally, I'm
morally, yeah.
But practically, I'm not really sure how that's going to play out, because at the end of the day, pharma, by their very nature, this is a business.
It's a
This is
business.
not a charity.
Yes.
This is, you know, they expect a return on their investment. They have investors that they have to be responsible for. So it's always in farmers' nature to skim a little off the top of the cream of the market. I mean, that's what they do, and that's how they remain profitable.
Then you're getting into the, is it a healthcare? I mean, is healthcare a right or is it a business? Like, is it a human right?
See,
Then
I
we're
don't really
getting-
see this as healthcare. I see this as pharma.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think that there's an argument to be made for medical care being a right.
Yes.
I don't know that pharma is in the business of really caring about people's medical health
Well,
outside of their
money
medication.
from governments to produce.
Well, I don't know that these countries have, otherwise they'd probably have their own vaccines. There's also the situation where we've got this Delta variant rising in numbers. COVID cases exploding, particularly in vaccine resistant areas and pockets, you know, of states and cities. And they had to know, just like we have an annual flu shot, and
Yes.
you know, we don't know how frequently we're going to need this, because this thing is changing constantly. As much as we know about it, there's still a lot we don't know about it. And I think that the people who want to protect themselves should be given the opportunity to protect themselves. Look, even in these poorer countries, the rich people in those countries are still pushing to the front of the line to get the medication. So there's no guarantee that if they're sent to these countries that they're not going to do the same things that we're doing here, which is
That's
the people
true.
that want it and can't, well, it's free here. So it's not even a situation of who can and can't afford it. But in those countries, it will become who has the means to pay for it is going to get it. And the majority of poor people are still going to be left behind.
Okay.
What they're saying is, let's do the booster, and then you're going to have much longer term protection. Because don't forget, when they started the research, when they created this, it was one, you know, type of disease or a group of diseases.
Okay. Right.
And now it's this group of diseases. It started off with this group, now it's this group of diseases. And so they've got to cover for that. I mean, for the most part, if you are careful, you could probably avoid it. But there's been a lot of breakthrough also. You heard about the Yankees again, you know,
Tell me.
again. And all of those people, you know, they had to cancel.
Oh.
And these are vaccinated people. So there are breakthrough. There was a situation where there was like some wedding or something, and there was a bunch of breakthrough cases in that. So even just getting vaccinated doesn't necessarily 100% protect you. So we need that third dose. And then I think after we have that third dose that covers all of these bases, then we can start looking at, okay, now people are protected longer term. Now let's see what we can go out into the world and do. That's my thinking. I mean,
and that's also practical. I mean, that's what's really going to happen anyway.
Right.
How are we going to manufacture more? Aren't they manufacturing at top capacity?
Well, mRNA is very easy to manufacture. It's not like they have to like source it from some, you know, Brazilian jungle or something.
Okay.
Like that. It's very easy to make. But I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that they want to take care of home first, and they want to make the money,
which is reasonable.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm saying about these pharmaceutical companies, is that they have a responsibility first to their pockets and their investors.
Right.
I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just looking at this from their perspective, that they first have a responsibility to their investors, and then after that, you're looking at it like,
I'm trying to think, is that what that guy was saying, or he was
no,
just
that's not what he's saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He's saying that they should be ashamed of themselves for profiteering in a time where the world is burning from COVID-19, that they should be looking outwards, not trying to double down.
That they are morally going to be upset later. They are going to look back and say, we did the wrong thing, that we didn't.
No, that's not that. No, he's not saying that. He's saying shame on you for not doing more, that you have the power and the ability to do more, and you choose to profiteer instead of help other nations.
Well, yeah, and he's a doctor, so he's coming from
Right,
a
and he's coming from a global
yeah,
perspective, but they're coming from a financial
right,
perspective. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
right.
that I disagree with one or I agree with the other.
Just saying that
We're having a discussion. Speaking of pharma, J&J's COVID vaccine may trigger neurological conditions in rare cases. This is according to the FDA. So Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine may trigger a rare neurological condition that happens in a small number of people who receive the vaccine. So according to FDA and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, they're suggesting that there may be a link between the J&J shot and a disease called the Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a form of progressive paralysis that is generally reversible, but you still don't want to have it.
You sure don't.
So they've had about 100 reported cases of GBS for short in people who've received the J&J vaccine, out of almost 13 million doses given.
That's pretty low.
Yes. Right. So it's one case out of 128,000 people vaccinated, which is low. But if you're that one out of 100,
yes, it's a nasty one too.
Yes, it's not. That's not something you want to have.
Hey, did you get the thing when you got vaccinated? Did you see the forms where they talked about, do you have neurological conditions and blah, blah, blah? You didn't, because I remember signing that.
I signed a lot of stuff. But I honestly, I just like zipped through it.
Yeah, it was a rush. Get that thing in
there. Here we go. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yep.
Yes. No.
There you go.
That was really I'm usually pretty good at reading this stuff, but
right. Listen, we don't have time. Yes.
No, ain't nobody got time for all that. So, so I just wanted the shot, and I wanted that to be done and over with really quickly, so that I could, because I was really squirrely. Like I would go to birthday parties and I wouldn't socialize.
Oh yeah,
really super late.
Oh yeah.
Over at 6, I'd go at 5:30, so I wouldn't have to socialize.
Minimize that time, yeah. Like
exactly. Spend the smallest amount of time. I was really, really, really super squirrely. And now I'm not squirrely anymore. Now I go, I mean, I still wear my mask when I go out.
Right.
But now it's like, I can socialize. If I go into a store and someone's not wearing the mask, in my mind, I'll go. Yeah. But I don't walk out of the store. Right. I used to be like, cancel my order. I'm going to leave. I'm not.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me tell you, you haven't had COVID, right? I had COVID in the very beginning and I didn't know. So just goes to show you how very easy it is for you to get sick and just not know. But again, we had no way of knowing back then. Mm-hmm. No way of knowing.
Early days.
So I'm so glad that the shot is finally available to give me some sense of normalcy. Not that it'll ever be normal seeing people walking around with masks, but it's our new normal.
Though it's I feel so much better walking around.
Yeah.
Had that. I'm much less squirrely is the right word. I don't freak out so much if I'm in a building and somebody else isn't wearing a mask.
I don't break out into arguments with old ladies. You're standing so close to me. You need to back up and give me my 6 feet. Back up. I'm not that close. Yes, you are. Back up.
Oh. Things aren't as heated over there.
Well, and that's not how I normally behave, but that's how tense it was.
The stakes were high, yeah, and it was anxiety producing, big time.
So now that I have the shot, I can relax. It's like, okay, this person is standing next to me. I'll just scooch over a little, but I'm not going to run out of the store now because I'm protected and I've got my mask on. So as long as I've got, 3 feet between us, I'm good.
Do you get the hairy eyeball for still wearing masks?
No, I don't get the hairy eyeball.
In New Jersey,
I think some people get the hairy eyeball for not wearing a mask.
Okay.
But not vice versa. Nobody really gives you a hard time for wearing a mask. No one can blame you. So many people have died from this thing. I want to talk about the Black women athletes and their poor treatment by the Olympics. So following 2 hearings on her case in June before the World Athletics Commission. 2016 Olympic champion Brianna McNeil. You remember we talked about Brianna McNeil last time. She was suspended from competing in track and field for 5 years for allegedly tampering within the results management.
So it came down 5 years now.
5 years.
That's a lot. That's unnecessary.
That's too much.
Yeah.
She had been recovering from an abortion that she had in January 2020. And during that time, she missed a mandatory drug test from the World Athletics 2 days after the procedure. She was in bed and she didn't hear the doorbell. She didn't hear them come when they came to test her. So McNeil said, in both of my hearings, they didn't acknowledge my mental health. They tried to discredit it, especially the second time when they brought in some clinical psychologists to try to tell me what I should have been experiencing. So she tried to explain to World Athletics how the recovery from the abortion and her subsequent mental health struggles had affected her. And instead, they told her that she hadn't actually experienced depression, and then proceeded to tell her all the ways she supposedly would have acted if she had depression. Don't forget about Naomi Osaka.
Oh yeah.
Why do they, she had to, they fined her because she wouldn't talk to the press. And then she had to come forward and explain that she's for her mental health reasons. And then they lightened up. But why do these women have to why do they have to bare their souls to get empathy? Why is that? Why do these women have to reveal their most personal medical information for the world to give them empathy? Who is this mental health professional?
I was going to say, this young woman guy who would have the nerve to do that and to think that was ethical and acceptable. He should know better.
Tell her about her own mental health and downplaying her suffering.
And this is what you should be feeling. How dare he? He should be embarrassed.
How he or she, we don't know the
that's true.
The person. But how dare this person deny her humanity this way? This made me think about this stereotype that persists. And maybe to some degree it's being dealt with, I don't know. But there's this stereotype that persists of the strong Black woman, that Black women are impervious to pain, that we show no emotion, that things just don't affect us, that we brush them off. It's got to stop. This whole idea.
Take more. You can just take more. Is that the attitude? You can
that we can take more. That our pain is not real pain. That when we cry, our tears are not real tears. That we don't suffer the way other people do. It's time for this ridiculous stereotype, this hurtful stereotype to stop. Just stop. I can't take it anymore. I'm so over this idea that, like when Piers Morgan, said that he didn't believe a word of
that was unbelievable. Who's
about her, talking about her mental state, as if she's not a person, is not capable of having feelings about being, treated poorly by the press that she's done nothing to. This whole idea that Black women, we should just shrug it off and we should just shoulder it and keep moving. I don't like this. It dehumanizes me, and it dehumanizes women like me. I'm entitled to my humanity. These women are entitled to their humanity, and they shouldn't have to tell you we shouldn't have to be talking about.
Right.
We shouldn't know that she had an abortion. We should not know this.
It's not our business to know.
It's no one's business. She told her coach, and she told her, her immediate family. And that's it. These people had no reason to know this information except that they bullied it out of her somehow. And that's bullying her career. And then at the end of all of that, they still turned around and suspended her for 5 years, this elite athlete. And as these athletes get older, the competitive edge is just not the same.
5 years, she's not going to be the same at 5 years.
This is completely outrageous because she filled out a form wrong or something like that. But let me tell you, if she had an abortion, that means that she either had a partner who either knew and there was a difficult discussion, or the partner had no idea and she found out this way and there was a difficult discussion. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or the worst case is that the partner said, this is not my business, handle it. yourself. And she's all alone in this decision. Having an abortion is not an easy decision. There's sleepless nights, there's hand wringing, there's that guilt that never goes away. There's she's staring down the barrel of her career, and she has to make this awful decision, this awful choice. And then it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing because now she's out.
Some guy is going to come and who should be embarrassed, tell her how she's supposed to be feeling.
Should be ashamed of themselves.
Yes.
There's also the hormones, because
absolutely. Yes.
Now your body's got to start coming down off these hormones once it realizes that it's not pregnant anymore. Your athletic performance now suffers because of all of this. That's not even touching on the mental anguish that she's probably going through, having to go through this all alone at this difficult time in her life when she's training and she's trying to put on this brave front for the world who should not know her business.
Right.
I refuse to watch the Olympics. I just absolutely refuse. It will not be on in my house at all. There will be no coverage. I'm just not going to watch it because I'm just
those Olympics. Wow.
I'm enough.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm over it. I'm done. I can't watch them steal these dreams from these young women, steal them over some ridiculous rules that have no room for interpretation, no room for appeal, no humanity. And I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about every last one of these women who've been denied their shot because of some ridiculous technicality. I can't, I'm over it. But I think I'm just most disgusted by the fact that these poor women have to bare their souls.
Yes.
In order to, their most personal, private lives have to be out on display for the world, for nothing.
Gaslighted, invalidated, dehumanized, the whole thing. Yep.
And now onto the main topic. I'm off my soapbox, so onto the main topic. Sugar and what it does to the body. Did you know that dietary sugar intake for women and children is 24 grams daily? It's 36 grams for men. 24 grams daily. That's I think 6 teaspoons or something like that. And then for men, it's 9 teaspoons. Just to give you an idea, Bruce Koss ginger ale. You familiar with Bruce Koss ginger ale? That's that fancy ginger ale.
Okay.
It's made with real ginger. It's very tasty. 22 grams of sugar.
Really?
22 grams of sugar. I'll tell you, after my appointment last week, I hadn't eaten because I had to be there early and I had to park and all this other stuff. So I said to myself, okay, I'm going to go on my app. I'm going to order a drink from Starbucks. I was going to order a venti white chocolate because I didn't have breakfast, like I said. It was just on a whim. So I decided to check on a whim.
You're having a craving.
Well, it wasn't a craving. I was hungry and I figured I will have this.
Okay.
And then later I'll have a meal. I don't really look at calories. But I said, after I read that, I said, let me look at the sugar content. What? 68 grams of sugar. 68. Needless to say, I didn't place that order. I canceled the order, but I was like, God damn.
Wow.
68 grams.
I wonder what the chocolate latte would have had. What would that have had?
I can tell you. Let me go on the app.
I'm curious to know. How does that
is that your drink, the chocolate latte?
No, I'm not drinking that. I'm black coffee now. I've finished with that.
But I mean, when you did, because I didn't know that. It was, what is it called? The black chocolate. What is it called? The dark chocolate what?
White chocolate latte. I did used to have those white chocolate lattes. That was a delicious drink.
Chocolate latte. Hold on, let's see. White chocolate. Let's see, mocha, white chocolate cheddar.
Oh, mocha. Oh my God. I love mocha.
I don't see latte here. But let's go with, is it iced or?
I used to get it iced too. You can get it hot or iced.
They have mocha, they have mocha frappuccino. No, that's not. Is that it?
There might be a white chocolate mocha frappuccino.
Yes.
That.
So it's 420 calories. What size do you usually get? Do you get a grande or do you get a
I got a venti.
Okay, venti. Let's see. Let's see here. 76 grams of sugar. 76. That's 3 days worth of sugar. So you can imagine, I have not since touched this app to
Wow.
buy.
Wow.
The New York Times did a piece on sugary drinks and colorectal cancer in young people because they're finding a link between sugary drinks. So something interesting that, I did an interview a few weeks ago with the Colon Cancer Foundation's president, and she said something about people born after around 1990 are twice as likely to have colon cancer. So they said compared with people born around 1950, those born around 1990 have twice the risk for colon cancer and 4 times the risk for rectal cancer.
Yikes.
So basically the article was about a study done in journal Gut, and it examined the link between colorectal cancer and sweet drinks. And they did all these nurses, and they found that on average, after 24 years of follow-up, they found 109 cases of colorectal cancer, which is not huge because that absolute risk is not that high among that group. But for those that are at risk, compared with women who averaged less than 1 8-ounce serving of sugar-sweetened drinks a week, those who drank 2 or more had more than double the relative risk for the disease. And each additional serving of sweet drinks increased that risk by 16%. A serving a day in adolescents was linked to a 32% higher risk. This was from the journal Gut.
All those.
Just think about that.
Drinks. Think of all those sports drinks. My guy drinks a lot of sports drinks as a little kid. And I made a trade-off where I said, you can't have an ice cream and a sports drink. You're going to have to pick one.
That's the same thing I do with Lizzie.
Drink it right down like it was nothing, like it was water.
Right, because of the empty calories. And what happens is with the high fructose corn syrup, which they're kind of looking, they're looking kind of specifically at high fructose corn syrup. Okay. They're not saying outright that it is high fructose corn syrup, but they're looking closely at high fructose corn syrup.
Okay.
And when they look at that, they're saying that what's happening is when you drink it, it's empty calories, and then you're still feeling hungry afterwards.
It doesn't satisfy you. There's something about that.
Right. Exactly.
I remember reading an article years ago. They said something about a certain percentage of people who have a reaction to high fructose corn syrup, that it eliminates their feeling of hunger, so that you could, and I remember I'm definitely one of those people, I could eat a massive thing.
That it eliminates your feeling of hunger?
That it's as if you were not satiated at all. So if I ate a huge Thanksgiving meal and then I ate a roasted marshmallow, it's as if I did not have that Thanksgiving meal and I could just continue eating all day. I'm not stuffed. There was some weird procedure that I know about myself now, that I get that little activation of something, and it's as if I didn't eat, 4 pounds of turkey.
Oh, you know what it is? I forgot what the name of that hormone is.
Ghrelin or leptin. It might be.
It's one of them, but I forgot what that. I read about it, but I forgot what that process is called. But in any event, a study published in JAMA Internal Medicine 2014, the doctors found an association between a high sugar diet and greater risk of dying from heart disease. I'm just going to spell out for you the different ways sugar is not your friend. This was done 15 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
So the higher the intake of added sugar, the higher the risk of heart disease. They're not talking about like if you eat an apple or you eat a banana or you have a fruit smoothie with nothing added to it. We're talking about like honey or sugar or, agave or something like that, which I don't know that people were using agave that much 15 years ago, but we're going to add it in because of the glycemic, effect. So how sugar actually affects heart health is through several indirect connections. High amounts of sugar overload the liver, and liver treats sugar just the way it treats alcohol. So, and it converts dietary carbohydrates. That's another source of sugar that people don't realize, which leads to an accumulation of fat, which leads to fatty liver disease and is a contributor to diabetes. Remember, Ms. Markie had died from diabetes complications. And so diabetes raises your risk for heart disease. Consuming too much added sugar raises your blood pressure and increases chronic inflammation. And we know that inflammation is the road to most, if not all, disease on sugary beverages. So the effect is fatty liver disease, heart disease. Sugar also lowers your immune system. Bacteria and viruses thrive on sugar, and it's because it's their only source of energy. So consuming sweet snacks. You ever notice, like, if you're on the verge of like a cold or something like that, and then you have something really sweet, and then you get like
You just
blow out sick?
Yeah.
Because sugar lowers your immune system, because it's known for stressing your adrenal glands, which controls and regulates cortisol, your stress hormone, and it controls your blood pressure, and it controls aldosterone, and your thyroid, which is like the master hormone for them all. And this is the one that's responsible for maintaining your metabolism, cognitive function, and body temperature. So eating too many sugary foods or high glycemic index foods can lead to inflammation in the body. And that also affects the skin. Sugar also ages you. Now, let me tell you, I found this interesting. Yeah. So I found this interesting article, The Effects of Sugar on Your Skin. So it's a process called glycation, where the sugar in your bloodstream attaches to proteins, and it creates free radicals called AGE, AGEs. And as it accumulates, it damages your collagen and elastin, affects the type of collagen you have, because there's 3 types of collagen. And I think the first collagen, type 1, is like the least desirable. Type 3 is the strongest.
Okay.
Deactivates your natural antioxidant enzymes. And here are signs that sugar is aging your skin. The surface of your skin looks hard and shiny. You get deep cross-hatch lines that appear along your lip. I thought that was from smoking. I didn't know that was.
Wow, no kidding. Wow.
Discoloration and hyperpigmentation marks on your skin. Deep crevices, especially around the laugh line areas. Mm-hmm. And the skin around your jaw area begins to sag. How you like them apples? That's pretty outrageous, isn't it?
That's also really specific. I didn't know about the 3 types of collagen. That's
yes. Yes. And so you want to have the one that keeps your skin springy, and and I wonder if,
because you lose volume.
I wonder if the reason a lot of diseases affect Black people in later stages is because outwardly we don't show those signs. Because how they say Black don't crack.
Yes. And
so you don't have the outward, because we also have the melanin that protects our skin and protects the structural integrity. So we don't age the same way that people of lighter skin colors age. And so you might not know right away that you're damaging your body. This is just a theory. I don't know.
You're saying that if you're not seeing something happening, you're not as motivated to cut back on your sugar intake. If you're still looking really good, what's going to change you? What's going to make you change?
And then with so many cosmetic procedures now to mimic beauty and mimic good health, it's very easy to offload. I actually wrote a book many years ago. I wrote a book. I forgot the name of my own damn book. I should have. I'll have it for when we talk about skin next time.
Very good.
But I wrote a book, and one of the things I wrote in my book, let me grab it real quick. I'll be right back. It's called Your Clearest Skin. And one of the things I talked about in the book was I talked about how, when you have a high, carbohydrate, high sugar diet, that it affects you get the hormonal breakout.
Yes.
So cutting back on the sugar, cutting back on the carbohydrates is a tremendous way, is a cheap way actually, that you can save your skin and save yourself, trips to the dermatologist and trips, to the spa and so on and so forth. So I thought that it was interesting that I wrote that even back then. What year did
I remember that book too. I have it in my on my shelf. It was cut down on gluten, cut down on sugar. You had a lot of really good advice back then.
Because those are the things that I found when I did those things. Now, mind you, I still struggle. I struggle with
sugar.
I really do. Yeah.
Sugar's the hardest in my opinion.
Particularly around that time of the month.
Yes.
That time of the month is the hardest time for me to really, and I find, have you seen the show Physical? It's on Apple TV with Rose Byrne. That show is so hilarious. But she has this internal conversation where she's a bulimic, and so she does the binge purge, and she's talking to herself, and she's like, "This is the last time. Tomorrow, I'm gonna eat better, and I'm gonna have a salad, and I'm gonna exercise."
New addict speaking.
That's the conversation I'm having with myself. I'm laughing because I recognize this in myself. Yes, not the bulimia, but the conversation where I have some sugar and I'm just
okay, I'm just gonna finish this and I'm never gonna do this again.
Tomorrow I'm going to be so good. I'm not going to have any sugar. I'm just gonna have high protein, lots of avocado.
That's on the wagon tomorrow. No more sugar.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
Like after I gorge, and even as I'm gorging, I'm just like,
yes, okay, this is the last bite.
I know this is bad.
Guilty
I know. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna throw this away and I will never do this again until I do it the next time. Right. And I'm laughing, but it's actually not funny because it's addiction. Welcome to addiction. Yes, sugar is addictive, people. It can really get a hold on you. I was doing so good for like several months. And I'm not sure what happened, how I fell off the horse. I forget what it was. I don't remember what it was. What about you? How's your?
Well, I just fell off that wagon big time yesterday, and I'm starting to try to do a salt oil.
You made ice cream, for heaven's sakes.
I did. And then I consumed it really quickly. And I fasted until I broke my fast with the ice cream that we made.
Oh my God.
And it was so good. And as soon as I ate it, because it was, we roasted the pecans in the butter, and then it was just, everything was wrong with it, and it was so delicious. And then I just kept going back and getting more, and I was like, okay, tomorrow, because I've done like an intermittent fast. I've even done the one where I was vegan and low, like a fasting mimicking diet for 5 days, where you eat like almost nothing. I've done it, but it does help you cut down on cravings. But once I go into sugar, it's and nuts, combined with sugar and nuts and that salty, that's a hard sell for me. It's hard for me to say no to that. It's better for me to not start. Once I start, the day is almost finished. Like, that's how it happens. There goes the day. So it's addictive. There's no doubt. And I think about it and I obsess about it. And I know that there's ice cream in the refrigerator.
Do you berate yourself?
I'm better about not berating myself, because that was a trap also, but I do a little bit. I just go, okay, tomorrow. That was a learning process, to not berate myself too hard, because that actually just makes me binge more. So I have to be
really okay. Yeah. Then so you feel guilty, and because of your guilt, you eat more.
Well, I used to. Yeah, it was all part of it. It was just all part. Well, I'm guilty anyway. Let me just eat. So there was a little bit more like that. So,
wow.
It's a process. It's a never-ending process. But I feel like the intermittent fasting has helped me a lot. It's cut down on my cravings. But yeah,
really sugar, has it? Okay.
Yeah, but once I start with like a big amount of sugar, then that's
sugar, man. It's real. It's real.
It's the mother of all addictions, in my opinion.
It really is. Do you remember, was it in the 60s or was it in the 70s, where the sugar industry paid researchers and scientists to say that it was
the fat industry.
It was fat that was causing all the heart disease.
Yes.
And then we find out some 40, 50, 60 years later that it was the sugar all along.
It was the sugar.
How did they get away with that?
They pulled the wool on our eyes. Yes, absolutely.
And now we're a nation of addicts, with young people 16 and 17 years old drinking venti whatevers and developing cancers, for heaven's sakes. you know? So you got diabetes. I can't even call it a spectrum. You can't say diabetes on one end and cancer on the other. It's all that.
All interrelated too. It seems like you were saying about inflammation.
Well, because the inflammation touches every part of every system just
Yes.
of your body. And you need your liver. Your liver is, you know, it's what bails you out, gets rid of all the junk. And if you're loading it down with sugar, I mean, how's it supposed to do its job, right? I hope we've made the case here that sugar is not your friend. It's not your friend. You have to take it in very teeny doses if you can. And don't use sugar substitutes. It's the same thing. I should have provided a list of all the different sugars.
I remember a doctor saying that to me once. He goes, "Do you drink Diet Coke?" And at the time I drank tons of Diet Coke. And he goes, "It doesn't matter that it's, he said that sugar substitute, it affects your body just the same. Don't do it."
Yeah. Yeah. Because your body reads it the same. Like people, I don't know what scientists are thinking when they do this, like it's going to trick your body somehow. The only thing your body's going to do is, what is this? I don't know. Let's store this up as fat.
An insulin response. Yeah.
Yeah. They just package it up and store it as fat because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to process it. Anything that ends with "ose" is a sugar. So that's one rule of thumb.
Okay.
So sucralose, glucose, fructose.
Fructose.
Now the sugar from fruits is not, it's not the same level of danger because it's mixed with water, it's mixed with fiber, it's mixed with a bunch of things. It doesn't hit your system the same.
It's not so processed. It's not so processed. It's
a different, your body processes it completely differently because you get a lot more things. It's not nutrient deficit, it's nutrient dense.
Yeah.
So but the guy from the 4-Day Work Week, I forgot his name, he says don't have fruit, which I think that's tough. I find that when I have a fruit smoothie, and when I say fruit smoothie, I don't add sugar. It's just
just the fruit.
It's just the fruit.
Fiber in those fruits.
Water,
yeah,
and milk and some collagen supplements. That's why I'm still.
Nothing chewy.
That's why I'm not like, droopy mouth. But in any event, I find that when I have a smoothie that I don't crave.
All right. You have satiety. Okay.
I have satiety. And I do put apples in my veggie juice. Not all the time, but half the time. And it's very tasty. But again, it's not the same value proposition as added sugar. Added sugar.
Processed. That's not processed. That's
right. Non-processed sugar is what I'm talking about.
Natural.
Processed is cookies, processed is ice cream, processed is cake, processed is bread, processed, those things are processed. Hostess tasty cakes and that kind of stuff, that's processed. So I hope we've made the case today that sugar ain't your friend.
No, it's not.
Your friend.
No, it's not.
Everyone, please subscribe below and become a part of our little community. I know we're not the only ones out there that enjoy talking about this kind of stuff. And I hope that you guys are getting something from this. We certainly enjoy giving this to you and hope that it's beneficial. So please join us. Won't you subscribe? Hit one of the buttons below or in the description and join us. And we hope to see you next time. My darling.
Mwah.
Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Ciao. Ciao, Bella.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.